everybody to part 5 of my Walking Dead collection. I was kind of like Daenerys in Game of Thrones and just kind of forgot about how much bloody Walking Dead stuff I have. But after this episode, there will probably only be one more episode, so that is going to be the episode we get the grand total of everything that we've covered so far. Also, if you guys are from Reddit and you're watching this, let me know in the comments, because it seems like people on Reddit don't think that anyone's watching this, but I think people from Reddit are watching this, so let me know if you're from Reddit and you are enjoying these vids. So let's get into it. Our first item here is a Negan Funko, Barnes & Noble exclusive. Barnes & Noble didn't have very many exclusives, I don't think. Honestly, this might be their only Walking Dead exclusive, but Negan in Pop form. Even in Pop, he looks kind of menacing, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Next up, we have Maggie Funko Pop. I believe I got this one at a 7-Eleven, which is kind of a bizarre place to find a Funko, but Maggie, looking very cool for sword or knife she got from the bag of weapons in Season 2 on the highway. Next up, we have a Dwight Funko Pop, who is a 2017 Fall Convention exclusive, I believe at the New York Comic Con. You can see Dwight with his face burned off. Dwight's one of my favorite characters in both the comic and in the show. I thought it was a good adaptation. Pretty different, but at the same time, still kept the heart of the character alive. Next up, we have Jesus in his knight sword and outfit from after the time jump in the comic. Got his ponytail. I honestly like Jesus more in the comic. The show version had the potential, but they didn't really let Tom Payne really capture the character, and you could see he was like frustrated with it, which is why he left the show, but there's Jesus. Next up, we have Prisoner Negan from the comic, who looks a lot different than Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a prisoner. He didn't really get the long, luxurious hair that comic Negan did, but it also came with one of the pikes from the Whisper border that they put up. So that was a cool accessory that they added on all the comic series from, I believe, Series 4 or Series 5. Yes, all the Series 5 comic action figures had one of the pike heads, so very cool. Next up, we have another one of those wind-up guys. This one's Daryl, wearing his Season 1 outfit. That guy's goatee. Next up, we have another Daryl, but this one's wearing his more Season 3-esque outfit with the biker jacket. This is another PX preview like the governor from earlier. Next, we have Father Gabriel with his rifle. Pretty cool. Gabriel was a lot better character in the TV show as opposed to the comics. I feel like a lot of the characters in the TV show were better than their comic counterparts. Gabriel being one of the big examples along with Carol. Next we have this Daryl and Merle Woodbury Arena buildable set. It came with 5 figures, Daryl and Merle in their fighting stances, and 3 walkers. Next up we have this Beta action figure, which is very cool. Beta is one of my favorite villains. Actually, I think The Walking Dead, if they've done anything right, it's their villains. They've had solid villains throughout their whole run. But you can see Beta in the comic is supposed to be a professional basketball player. You can see him compared to another figure of the same packaging, just how tall he is. He like towers over Negan here. So there's Beta with his 2 knives. And then moving on, we can get to Negan. This is the first Negan action figure they released. He came with an iron for burning people's faces off, Lucille, of course, and a knife. He's got his leather jacket, looking very cool. Then we have TV show Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, smiling. He looks very similar to his comic counterpart, but this one is with like the color tops version of the McFarlane toys. Comes with Lucille on a stand. Next up, we have comic Dwight, who also has his face burned off. Comes with a rifle and a crossbow. He's like the comics version of Daryl, which is why they kind of had to rework him in the TV show, because we had Daryl, so Dwight couldn't be exactly the same. There's Dwighty boy. Next, we have the TV show Dwight, Austin Emilio, also with the burnt face, looking a little bit different. Also comes with a crossbow though and a stand, like the color top other McFarlane toys. Next, we have a color top Rick Grimes. Probably the most detailed McFarlane toy of Rick. You can actually see some resemblance to Andy Lincoln, unlike some of the other ones they released, but this is the bandaged Rick with the prison shirt. Well, now we have another prison version of Rick Grimes. This is the Funko Pop. Comes with the machete he killed Tomas with, looking all angry. And then we have the Season 5 Funko Pop version of Rick Grimes with his Alexandria look and the pistol that he killed Pete with at the end of Season 5. Next up, we have one of my favorite Funko Pops, Shane, which was a New York Comic Con exclusive. They didn't release very much Shane merchandise, so it was cool when they decided to re-release some characters in Funko form years after they had left the show. Next up, we have my biggest Funko, this Funko Ride, I believe is they're called, or Pop Ride. Daryl on his chopper, looking very cool. We have another version of Daryl on his chopper. This one's the Walking Dead buildable. Came with a Route 85 sign and a walker. Next up, we have this Negan mini-mate. He comes with a thug zombie with a chain around his neck. Also comes with Lucille. There's another mini-mate pack that had Negan and Dwight, which was also pretty cool, but I had the one of Negan and a walker. Next up is another Series 1 Mystery Mini. This one's the Bicycle Walker, the very first walker that Rick sees, besides the Pajama Walker, but this is the one that he sees first in the timeline, because the other thing was kind of a flash forward, but entrails, Bicycle Walker. Next up is the most recent Daryl Dixon Funko Pop, where he's got the RPG from Season 6 when he blew up Bud and his buddies on the bikes, the Savior guys they first met. Next up, we have the Series 2 Mystery Mini. I'm not exactly sure what walker this is supposed to represent, but it was glow-in-the-darks, and I thought that was cool, and I promised you guys I'd get you something glow-in-the-dark, so... Hey, glow-in-the-dark. Next up, we have this Daryl Dixon metallic figure. This was like a series of figures they released in a subscription type thing. I didn't subscribe to it. I just got this Daryl, but came with a booklet and a poster and some other things. And if you had subscribed to it, one of the bonuses you got was Herschel's watch, which I always thought was cool. I never was able to get. Honestly, I'm not even sure if it existed because I tried to search for it for a long time. Next up, we have this Season 3 trading card binder featuring the Governor and Rick. It's got The Walking Dead on the back. Cool binder. Next up, we have the Walking Dead trivia game, which honestly had pretty decently challenging trivia. So if you want to test your Walking Dead trivia knowledge, why don't you see if... Alright, I'll test your guys' knowledge real quick. What do Anna and Sam give Rick and Carol as a peace offering in Episode 4, Season 4? Is it A, fruit, B, a candy bar, or C, aspirin? The answer was A, fruit. Let me know in the comments if you got it right. Next up, we have a Riot Gear Glenn from the Series 2 of the Walking Dead comic figures. He came with a lot of different accessories, a riot shield, a gas can, a baton, a helmet, a pistol, 2 pistols actually. And this is when Glenn had a bald head in the comic, which they didn't do in the TV show, but he looked cool in the comic. Next up, we have this Lucille ballpoint pen. Very useful. You can write your love letters with Lucille. Everyone usually does, of course. Next up, we have some pins. We have this cool Lucille one. All of these pins are made by Yesterdays, and they make some high-quality pins, almost like the Disney pins. We have this Take It Like a Champ Negan one, which came in the first Skybound Mega Box. And then we have the Skybound pin, which was an exclusive at Comic-Con if you spend a certain amount of money at the Skybound booth. Next up, we have these cool little Negan figures, similar to the Jesus ones from an earlier episode, but these ones are glow-in-the-dark. We have Negan and a walker. Next up, we have this black Lucille keychain, which came in the first Mega Box. All of the stuff in that was Negan-themed, so a lot of different Lucilles and other Negan-type items. Such as this Super Fight Pack, which is a card game, and this is like a addition you can have to it. It has a bunch of Negan-themed cards. So if you played Super Fight, you could add this onto your normal deck. And then the last thing in that Mega Box that I haven't showed yet was this Negan figure, which is a Black Friday, I believe they called it, the Black Friday Negan. So this was the blood-splattered version, which was a random chance you could get in the Mega Box itself, and I got lucky and got the blood-spattered Black Friday Negan. Next up, we have the Walking Dead board game, which I actually have played. Much of the games I've had, I haven't actually played, but I played this, and it's actually pretty fun. You basically play as a survivor against the zombies, and if the zombies get you, they get you, and it turns into a all-out fest. Here's the mat it came with. Very cool game board, kind of like a mouse pad. It's a fun game, actually. Next up, we have the Bungee Walker McFarlane toy. This was one of the more creative ones they did. This is supposed to be one of the walkers from the premiere of Season 4 when they fell through the supermarket roof and they were hanging by their entrails, so you could hang him up by his guts, which is kind of gross, but still pretty cool. Next up, we have the Mud Walker McFarlane toy. This is supposed to be from the mid-season finale of Season 4, the walker that came out of the flooded area and bit the governor's new surrogate daughter and kind of turned him permanently crazy, even though he kind of seemed to have gone pretty crazy in before then, but I think that was the final straw. Next up, we have the Tyrese McFarlane toy. This one's the unbit version. Comes with his hammer of justice, a shotgun, and a silenced pistol. Next up, we have another one from Series 4. Like I said, I have a lot. This one's pretty cool because it comes with the knife that Maggie stuck into his neck. The helmet seems to be movable. Pretty cool walker. Next up, we have a kind of strange Rick Grimes. This is from a series called the Metals Diecast, so it's like a very heavy metal figure. Rick's looking all beefed out. You can see on the back they also had a Daryl who looks even more beefed out and a Glenn, but then Michonne looks kind of normal, so these were interesting collectibles, but pretty high quality and heavy too. Next up is the original Rick Grimes Funko Pop in his sheriff's outfit, looking all dapper. He's got the python, looking pretty cool. Next up is a different version of the Series 1 RV Walker Mystery Mini. This is the glow-in-the-dark version, which was a 1 out of 72. The Well Walker and the RV Walker both had glow-in-the-dark versions in this set, so this is the glow-in-the-dark RV Walker. And this is the first Mystery Mini I ever got, the Series 1 Prison Walker. 1 out of 24 chance, I believe, so pretty rare as well. Got the chains on the feet. Pretty cool. Next up is the deluxe version of Negan, which was way bigger than all the other McFarlane toys and way more detailed as well. You can see the detail in Jeffrey D. Morgan's face. He's got Lucille on a different arm for a different position for holding Lucille. Very cool. Next up is McFarlane Toys' answer to the Daryl and Chopper Funko Pop. They did a Daryl and Chopper set, which is pretty cool. Came with Daryl, crossbow, and knife, and the motorcycle. Next we have Rick Grimes' deluxe version, coming with the rifle, the position he had in, like, I think the Season 3 poster. Comes with the most detailed python McFarlane ever had. A knife, another pose for shooting the python. We'll get Andy Lincoln in all his glory. And last but not least for this episode, we have the Walking Dead Yahtzee Collector's Edition. I have not played this, but if you're wondering why there's a giant zombie head, I believe it's for putting the dice in and rolling it. So the whole collector's edition is kind of rolled around this weird thing to roll the dice, when usually when I played Yahtzee I just roll with my hands, but pretty cool regardless. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you guys have been enjoying this series so far. The next episode will be the finale, so regardless, hope you guys have liked it. Here's the total for this episode. Next one, we'll get the final total. See you guys in that one. Tell me you could say that shit. All she want is payback for the